It is November 12th today, and we had snow last night, just a touch, and I still have flowers in the garden, so wow, short winter maybe. Hi, it's Vaughan at westcottbellpottery.ca in Nova Scotia, Canada. So it's grey today, which is, the pigeons are hunkering down, looking a little chilled out there, aren't they? Anyway, I am going to make some stilts today because I just kind of feel a little grey myself actually, but it's actually so beautiful here you should never feel grey. So anyway, I'm getting ready for the winter season, firing lots of kilns, one a day just about. And so I found these online, and I've made them before and they work, and I even used some paper clay, which I couldn't figure out any other use for. We thought it might be good for sculptures, but it's quite fragile. But I made stilts with it and it worked fine. So I've just got all this leftover paper clay, and I'm going to show you how to make these stilts now. So all I've done is roll out a 3/8 inch thick kind of slab of clay, and it's paper clay. So I tried throwing this and it was okay, but it really felt weird. And it's so dry now. I've had this for like 3-4 years, this clay, so I didn't even wedge it that much. There's going to be air bubbles in it. I don't want to put it through my pug mill because I'll have paper clay in my clay for a long time after. And what this system is, this is one I think Freddie Moretti made for me. So I kind of got in thinking then, well, if Freddie can do this, I bet somebody else is doing it online. And when I searched, I'm not sure if it was Amazon or Temu or one of those sites, where I found these things, which is just cookie cutters with a little plunger, and they come in different sizes, small ones, and the middle ones there. So I've got like any number I can make. So I'm not sure what I'm short of, but I figured I would make as many of these as I can, and then with whatever clay in between I can use each size and use as much of this as possible, because I really don't want any of this clay left after I've done this. But all you do, if the clay is quite stiff, so they're all jumping, and then you pull it out, take your plunger, you've done this, and then it's not brain surgery, you just push it out and you have a size of a stilt. And that's why I say I've got multiple sizes. I'm going to try and use as much of this clay as possible up so I have nothing left. And sometimes I guess, yeah, you can push through without the plunger. This clay was too hard to wedge. I tried wedging it and I thought this is going to put stress on my wrists, so that's why I thought, well, I'll just make stilts with it. So it's very quick, and I made a bunch already, so I've got lots of stilts for the winter, but I just want to use the clay up. So these things come from National Art Craft in Cleveland, Ohio, and they make these little bags of pins. I can't remember the cost of them, but there's a lot in a bag, and all these now just get stuck in. Now if you really want to, you can actually smooth all these off. I don't even bother. You can do that and that's enough. But all you do is you put a pin in each one. I usually push them down about, an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch in, but I want most of them to stick out. And that's a stilt. I don't know how much that would cost. So you got to decide whether you're going to listen to a really good book on tape, and I'm listening to an Agatha Christie at the moment, while I'm doing this. I can't put that on while I'm videotaping because I'm not sure YouTube's rules about that, although it seems like the copyright rules in YouTube are abused all the time. But and then the big ones are the same, but this is what I'm going to be doing for the next, probably the next hour. Okay, I finished making all the stilts, and I've made over 200 stilts. So these are out of that paper clay from Laguna, and the stilt packages I got from National Art Craft in Ohio. I just looked up online, a mixed bag of stilts, different sizes, came to $42 for 15 stilts. So since I've over 200 stilts here. Okay, another one of the tests that I want to try, which is a question I've had for a long time, is why is my Harris Tenmaku and my Tomato Red not working real good? Well, it's fired at cone 6, but it says it really should be fired between cone 5 and cone 10. So maybe we're at the bottom end of where it actually looks decent. But it always turns out too brown for me, and I've just had an article I read where I saw somebody saying you should apply them really thin. Well, I usually apply them quite thick. So I've done a single dip here, and I'm going to try a different way of firing this, just firing them on their own up to, say, a high cone 7 and see what happens. Okay, this one is Harris Tenmaku, and on the left-hand side, it was single dipped and fired to 2250. Once again, I think it's better if you fire it higher. At cone 6, it's just brown. But in the middle, I double dipped it, and you can see it gets more brown and you lose those black highlights. And on the far right, I actually added that third dip, not all the way down. It didn't run, so it's pretty stable as a glaze, but it actually loses the black a little bit, except for where it thins at the rim and on the edges of the handle. So over carved pieces, this glaze looks really nice because it breaks to black, but it needs to be on fairly thin. I read that on the internet, and I've been always glazing quite thick. So obviously this is the opposite of what I thought. But anyway, this glaze I think will be, I'll make a bunch of pieces and just fire in my small kiln so I can make them all look like the one on the left. I think I like the best. The one on the right's nice too, but the one in the middle, not much character there. Okay, this is my test on the Tomato Red, and I've decided I can't fire this with the cone 6 pieces from now on because it looks so much better when I took it to 2250 instead of 2225, which is probably cone 7. And I actually think it probably will get even nicer if I went to cone 8, which I might do a test on that as well. But from the right-hand side is when I applied it single layer, and I fired it to 2250. At cone 6, it's just brown, but you see a little bit of red in there. I double dipped it on the one on the right, and you can see because there's a little bit more running down a bit, and we got more red, but we still got some browns in there. And then in the center, I actually did a third dip, and it started to run big time, which was lucky because it could have stuck to the kiln shelf, but I fired on stilts. But anyway, you got so much more red. So my thinking is that this has to go to cone 8 to get some nice reds, and it needs to be on really thick, but obviously not too thick because look at all the runs in the center there. It is cold outside today. Feels like about 8 degrees centigrade. And what's that work out at 16? About 48, 49 Fahrenheit. It's a bit chilly for doing work outdoors. This wasn't a test, this is just the cranberry glaze with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. I'll give you a close-up of that. It's very popular. I sold 2 mugs like this morning already. So Christmas is coming. It's going to be mugged every day. This one was a test. This is the new yellow that I have over speckled clay, so it's not quite as bright as it will look over the white clay, with apple green and apple green and oatmeal over the top. But this is the yellow that I mixed 2 batches of yellow together to get me a new yellow, and that means I can use up that horrible glaze that crumbles. Here's another very popular one these days. It's my purple with some fluting on there. So the purple is sort of slightly transparent, but I think it does have a touch of tin in there, but variegated blue and oatmeal over the top as well. Now, I did a video recently on my chicken roasters. So here, wow, look at that Tenmoku gold. It's got a burgundy look. So when it's on thin, it gives you almost a purpley burgundy. Okay, and on the inside, it's totally yellow. So here's the bottle. And then each one has a stopper. You stick some bread in there to actually make a seal, so the gases from the water, the vapor from the sauce actually come up. But I want to show you something. This has a beautiful blue fleck in there as well, and that's from the variegated blue. And then you've got that yellow, and look at the speckle. This is a beautiful piece. Okay, next level down, I've got 3 of the baking dishes that those bottles will sit on. These little handles. I showed how to do these in that video recently, within the last month. Another one. And then here's my new yellow. Oh, and I glazed it across, and where it's double layered, you get this strange look at the... Yeah, maybe I'll have to reglaze that one with the yellow and do a line across that way, and that would look better. The stilts I also just showed in my video. This one was made a little while longer, and here's another one that was just made. So you can see they brown with age. This one's been through the gas kiln, and this one just the electric kilns. But they're working fine. Next layer down, I have another one of the baking dishes. And now we've got some more of the experiments. This is also on speckled clay, but isn't this a nice yellow glaze? There's a bunch of those in here, so I'll go through these quickly. It's all got apple green. I love that. I'm very excited about being able to use up that crappy yellow glaze that I had. Here's one on white clay. Now we can get to see the difference. There's a much warmer in it. Over the white clay is definitely much nicer. So we've got some usual ones here. Difference here between speckled clay, matte turquoise, and white clay, matte turquoise there. This is the white clay. Things always look brighter over the white clay. And I'm telling you, this yellow is beautiful. It's mixing those 2 yellows together, so I'll never be able to get it exact, but I'll have enough of this yellow glaze for at least a year or 2. So that's not so bad. But I do know how to get it. If I mix both glazes up again, I guess I'll mix them 50-50. Hey, I can repeat it. 2 more purple mugs over speckled clay. And the same again. Oh no, there you go. I got my cranberry on this one, and then the purple there. This was a really good firing. I'm going to make sure my program, I set this, because I did change it slightly, so I'm going to record that. I'll put it in the video for you. But this was a good firing. Everything's going to have variegated blue and oatmeal if I don't say what glazes are on there. It's matte purple, bright blue speckled clay, and variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. Here you go again. White clay, speckled clay, and boy, you can see the difference there. Things flux a little better over the white clay too, which I have to be careful of sometimes because things can run, especially Tenmoku gold. White clay, matte turquoise, variegated blue and oatmeal, speckle clay, matte turquoise, variegated blue, and oatmeal. Is the first kiln. Not many tests, but the butter yellow that I now have is just great. So I've got the yellow recipe that was terrible, and I've got the yellow recipe that was really bright, and I mixed them 50-50 because the terrible one was flaking off the pots. I'll show you the picture now. Okay, this is what I'm talking about that the yellow did, and this is the fake ash glaze. This is what it does too. So they're totally useless glazes. Okay, it's about an hour since this piece was glazed, and look at all that flaking. So since my yellow experiment worked so well, I'll be trying this with my speckle blue, which also does it, and this glaze. So we're going to try and add glazes that have similar looks, but basically behave better. So I'm thinking my slop green glaze plus this one 50-50 might end up with a decent glaze. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to try turning this up and see if everything falls off. No, it didn't, so I'll sign it and we'll put it in the kiln. See what happens. I've actually refied these a few times with apple green over the top, and they look really good. Okay, this is my little kiln. And here's one more. The rest of the test pieces underneath here, I think, but this is one more with the Tenmoku Gold oatmeal with variegated blue. The variegated blue totally went grey again, which is, I always hate it when it does that, because it has a really nice blue colour sometimes. But anyway, that's because of the slow cool, I think, as well. You always shake your shelf a little bit and bang it a little bit just to make sure the props don't fall off. One more blue one. That should be it for these. These baking dishes I always do on the red clay with a backwash to sand off there. So the red clay is oven proof. There we go. Now we're down to some testing pieces. Okay, so what do we have? Now I did some Strontium Crystal Magic, but this is my lemon yellow, the other yellow, and that's really a gorgeous yellow too. But because I mixed up a new batch of that, so I tested it to make sure. This is just chun green with I think it's the oatmeal over the top, but I don't know. No, it's not oatmeal. What did we write on it? There we go. It's a good idea to write on them, isn't it? Oh, it was Strontium Crystal Magic. That's actually interesting. So chun green first, and then Strontium Crystal Magic over the top didn't do anything other than just change the green color. I'm surprised. Here's one. Strontium Crystal Magic on first, and then bright blue over the top. And then it did something great. That's what I did this firing for, because I got a whole bunch of T-balls where I'm going to use that. And I wanted to know, should I put it on first or should I put it over the top of the glaze? But that is really amazing. I mean, it's spectacular. And I use my oatmeal on the inside of the glaze. So what else do we have that might be interesting? Bright blue first, and then Strontium Crystal Magic over the top. And I did it again. So that's slightly interesting. What's the difference there? I've got two of these. One looks very different. Strontium Crystal Magic first, and then bright blue over the top did that. Yow. Bright blue with Strontium Crystal Magic over the top. So both work, both do something, but if you put it on first, you've got a much nicer effect. Went very matte at the top there. I'm going to have to make notes here. But that's a nice test. What else do we have in here? Just a regular one, red with variegated blue and oatmeal. And a regular Tenmoku gold that turned out really pretty. Another regular Tenmoku gold here, so nothing special here. We've got some more tests though. I remember doing them, so put a whole bunch of Tenmoku gold. Because I've had issues, Tenmoku gold recently was just going totally transparent. Well, now we're back to normal, so I'll have to make sure I look at my firing schedule. Plus I don't have the runs down, because I'm trying to control that. And then we got Randy's red in a regular firing schedule where it doesn't do any red at all. It's a nice enough brown, but well, I'm not impressed with that because I like to get that Randy's red down here. A regular red one. There's some tests I can see down there. This is just dark blue with bright blue and oatmeal. Here's one of the tests. Strontium Crystal Magic on first, followed by blue over the top, dark, just regular bright blue. And then it did the matte thing again, like totally matte. So if you put it on first, it's so weird. It looks like it would be over the top there. Okay, this is one with my matte turquoise and Strontium Crystal Magic over the top. And it changed. It's quite matte. It's actually almost too matte because it doesn't feel like a sheen over it. And this is the one that I showed you crawled like crazy. The glaze literally kind of crumbles and cracks and looks like it's going to fall off the piece. But when you fire it, if you can get it in there without the pieces falling off, which is really hard because it did fall off a little bit just there, but it's still smooth. And it also has because of the cracks, it has like an orange peel texture to it, if you can see that. And that's why I don't like this glaze. I got it off the internet as a base glaze, and then added, it's a ferro frit stain. It's not a frit, it's a stain. And I can't remember the number of it. I think it was called something like C1111 or something like that. But it's a beautiful yellow stain that works in my slip, but in that glaze it doesn't. And this is Chun Green and Strontium Crystal Magic over Speckle Clay. So Chun Green on first and Strontium Crystal Magic over the top. Just made it go blue. That's interesting. Here, where's the blue come from? But and the whole piece sort of has a bluish tint. That's the clay affecting the glaze because it is a Chun Green. It's a green. And here is the new yellow glaze, which is much more buttery. Let's get the yellow one. This is the bright yellow, and this is my butter yellow, where the two glazes were mixed together. So this is just a regular bright yellow as it is, just with sunshine yellow stain by Mason Stain, and this one is that ferro stain plus the sunshine stain mixed 50-50. Gives you a much nicer yellow, I think. They're both really pretty yellows, though. Now, we've got some test bowls. Oh my god. That is totally matte. And it's just Strontium. Let me have a read of this. Strontium Crystal Magic Speckle Blue. So it's my Speckle Blue glaze over the top of Strontium Crystal Magic. And it is really nice. It's a totally, and it doesn't feel horrible, but this is where I'm using, if you've seen this video, I've been doing a video where I'm doing lots of slop clay applications over the surfaces of pots to make them feel a bit more like natural rock and all that, and that is really pretty. It's got my regular oatmeal on the inside, so just for being able to drink out of it, and then natural clay on the bottom. That's really nice. Okay, we have another one. Another beauty. Well, I think I've got a use for my Strontium Crystal Magic finally. What have we got here? Strontium Crystal Magic applied first as a dip with apple green over the top. Really nice. This is a nice way of using up scrap clay that you don't have to then wedge, because I'm simply applying it to to a greenware surface when the pot is about leather hard, or just under, because there's some of them were movable. Just watch the video, it's on T-balls. It was probably released just before this video, or just after. Here is another one. Apple green first and Strontium Crystal Magic over the top. So that's got more of a sheen to it. So the Strontium Crystal Magic makes things go really matte if you put it on first. But that's another one with the applications of the scrap clay slops. Very nice. I am so happy about these little tests here. I had this bucket of Strontium Crystal Magic because in the tests I used it like 3 years ago or more, it actually ran and ruined a whole bunch of pieces. I think it was on too thick. But this one is speckled blue with Strontium Crystal Magic over the top, and that makes that really nice. So I'll be able to do that on some pieces. This would be good for just regular mugs and all that, so because it's quite smooth, there's no matte. When you put it on first, Strontium Crystal Magic over the top, it seems like you get more of a shine. When you put it on first, it makes things go matte. Great test there, worth testing, eh? That's it. That's for that little kiln. Okay, this was a refire, and this is the last kiln in this video, and it's the glaze, I dried it fast and it's got like a little crawling, but because it was already glazed before, the crawling's over the top of an already glazed area, so it's completely smooth and it just has this weird crackle effect there. But it's probably still totally functional, so. And then I have another Cove series plate. I've been firing these, 1 or 2 in each firing for a while now, just to build up. I've got 8 of these made now. But just one of each color just to show you. So we got the cranberry glaze with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. I think there are some more like that. Here is a Randy's red that only has a little bit of red in it where I double dipped it. So where it's single dipped it's brown, and where it's double dipped it's reddish. So that's what usually happens. Randy's red has to be applied fairly thick. I used to soak for a long time at peak temperature too. This one's better, got more red. Maybe the other one could have been Harris or tomato red too, but that's a lot better. Got some more red in there. And then my new yellow is absolutely beautiful. And I've got a bunch of these. It's not as lemon as it used to be before, but it's really a nice yellow now. What else do we have? Some of these are for the bakery. We've got one of those out earlier in the other kiln. It's actually dark blue with bright blue and oatmeal over the top on that one. Anything different here? Chun green, yeah, another chun green with the variegated blue and oatmeal over it as well. This is for the bakery too. So the rest in here are all those colors. Okay, this one is a special order for some local farmer, and I did a couple of these. Matte turquoise with it's the old yellow on this one. It's one I'm going to continue to use because it's a really nice bright yellow. But I've got my new butter yellow, which is beautiful. Anything that's repeating in here I will not take out. Here's a black one. This is a modification on the ones I recently did, Icelandic kind of colors at night. But this time I decided to, instead of just have oatmeal in the upper half, I would do my variegated blue and variegated blue and oatmeal over the top of the oatmeal. So that kind of made a nice modification. I think I like it better. We've got blue-green copper red, beautiful blue-green copper red there, followed with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. Wow, that really turned out nice. It's all about the time in the glaze. 1 second dip, 2 second dip. It's a lot to remember. And then other colors down in here, I think they're all duplicates. We've seen purple with variegated blue and oatmeal numerous times, so the rest of these I'm just going to leave in there. Okay, down deep in the kiln, here's a classic Tenmoku Gold with variegated blue and oatmeal, just a small plate. The Tenmoku Gold turned out beautiful. Another one of the Cove plates, so it's, I think I've got all of those out now. Here's a classic apple green. Wow, really turned out nice. Boy, that glaze can be good sometimes. Other times it gets a bit clear, but this is just classic, beautiful. And I dipped variegated blue with a touch of oatmeal over the rim, and it melted down into the piece. And the outside is really pretty too. There you go. Here's the other plate that I have in the Tenmoku Gold with variegated blue and oatmeal. Let's give you a close-up on the colors in that. It's really pretty. And then we got some Randy's Red, really good red. It always does that on the inside of the bowl. It's amazing. Not quite sure. And on the outside it generally doesn't. It does brown, where it's exposed to the elements a little bit. We just don't know why it goes brown facing the elements, and it's red away from the elements. And on the inside of here we've got some brown showing up across there, but that gives it some character. But it's really a nice red on the inside, which is what people see. And then this piece must have been thinner here. It's got to be decent thickness to actually get the red as well. So where it's thinner, it tends to go brown, and thicker it goes red. A lot of them are using the Strontium Crystal Magic, and I have about 40 tea balls now in all my different glazes that I'm going to put over the top of the Strontium Crystal Magic, which is already applied. So they've been dipped into Strontium Crystal Magic halfway down, rim down first, and then halfway up is the Strontium Crystal Magic, and now I'm going to dip that area in a different glaze. You know, I've got about 10 groups of four tea balls, so I'll do 4 of each one and 10 different glazes over the top of Strontium Crystal Magic, so that's exciting. Now the piece on the left did not have any hold or soak, whereas the piece on the right, I actually had 2 holes or soaks, and the piece on the left did not run as much as the piece on the right. So basically you don't need to sort of develop crystals by having a long soak. You can get it just by doing a slow cool. And that's especially important with iron glazes that actually seem to flux more. Cobalt and copper in the glazes don't seem to run as much. But really, the thickness of the Strontium Crystal Magic is really important, so don't get it too thick when you apply it, and make sure that you don't hold at the peak temperature for any time at all. So do a reminder here. On the left you've got the white clay, and on the right you've got the speckle clay, and the glazes are identical. It's Tenmoku Gold with variegated blue and oatmeal over the top. And the one on the white clay on the left is always my favorite. Okay, so these 2 mugs are glazed with the same 2 glazes. The one on the right is the Strontium Crystal Magic on first with bright blue over the top. And the one on the left is bright blue with Strontium Crystal Magic on top. So they're reversed. And obviously the one on the right has a lot more character. It's a lot nicer. Okay, the glaze bottom right is the bad yellow that I have that was flaking and crawling. Wouldn't even stick on the pot. When you glaze it, it would dry and all cracks. Or, you know, I can show you that picture. And the one on the left is the good yellow that I have that people really like. And so my idea was with this is to actually mix the two bottom ones together 50-50, and then you end up with the top, and it worked. So I have a way of using up my horrible glaze so I don't have to waste that whole bucket of glaze, because there was about 5 gallons of it. There's a good, you know, sort of lesson to learn there, that you shouldn't mix up 5 gallons unless you know it really works. But thank goodness I've now got to figure out, I've got a good solution.